All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and get started. And as people hop on or, whatever, we'll send them the video. But I just wanted to come on because obviously a few of us on this team, and I think there were 11 of us across Beautifully Polished, our overarching team, had went to the leader conference, and I just wanted to share a piece of it, which was probably the biggest piece on coaching. So, none of us have this mastered. None of us have done this too often. I won't say we haven't done coaching calls, but probably not in this format. I just wanted to share out what we found, and my hope is that we can start implementing ASAP. I've already done a coaching call this week. It's definitely not still perfect. It's never going to be perfect, and it's always going to be the same goal, right? To help whomever you're talking to on the phone. But I think my ideas about it were a little bit different than what, than what it was talked about at conference. So I'm just going to go ahead and share. I did send you guys in the group message a few of the documents that I'm going to be referring to, but they are all in our back office. So I just checked it out. They are, in fact, I'm going to show you guys just so you have them and you can see exactly where they're at. So let me share my screen for a second. Here we go. So let's see if we can get it there. Okay. So your back office is, let me sign in here. It kicked me out already. In your back office, we have the resources tab. And when you go to the resources tab and you scroll all the way down, there is a folder that I think everybody has. Now, of course, I don't know because obviously, like you guys, you're going to be team leaders and up for the most part. If you're a senior stylist and you're wanting to do coaching calls, which is awesome, and I'm hoping that's the point we can get to at some point, but they are also in other spots. So I found these same things in just some of the general resources here, like up here, where was it? Coaching Tracker was one of them in that leader, and I saw the coaching guide in here, but I had found them all at the bottom. So it looks like they're just putting them in a couple places, which is awesome. But I did want to share a little bit about those with you guys. And I actually want to start with this one. So I'm actually going to show it on my screen for now. I have a printed out version, and I just want to give you a quick rundown of what we were really taught a coaching call is. And I can tell you, for me, it probably wasn't that way. At least, I've attempted this. We've heard some of these a couple times, but I feel like something got lost in translation. So this is an awesome 2-page document that really is the Cliff Notes version of what we heard in San Antonio. And this was really big for me, thinking about what coaching calls were, because my mistake with coaching calls and just the chatting that we did during this training and after this training as a team, we really took them on more as training calls. And there's a total difference between coaching and training. So I am super guilty of getting on a call with a stylist, whether it be somebody who's new, a leader, doesn't matter. And this is just my personality. And of course, we did like personality traits at the conference too, which I always know what I am. In this one, I came out to be a director, which is basically telling people what to do. I'm very much a problem solver. So I want to just say, well, you're having trouble booking nail bars. This is how to do it. Send this message out to 10 past customers. Like, I will give them specific things to do. And I thought that was really helping. And while I don't think you can't offer suggestions, the whole point of a coaching call is, and these are the things I wrote down. So I'm going to reference my notes a little bit. Coaching calls are strategic business calls, focusing on growth mindset. They're purposeful. And one of the things is to get fully centered with them. And this isn't what the coaching call is, but it's how to do the coaching calls. And that is schedule them in a time that you can literally sit here and just focus on the coaching call and not be in the car driving on the way somewhere. I know we are all busy. You guys, I know it. I'm busy. You're busy. Everybody's busy. And that scared me a little bit. But then when I thought about it, I want to have that 20 to 30 minute block, whatever you decide, whatever you guys decide, or you tell her that's the time span, and to be very intentional with that time. And what I do when I get on calls when I'm in the car is it's just a conversation, and I'm listening a little bit about maybe some struggles that they're having, but it's not super intentional about how to get their business moving forward. So that was one of the takeaways for me. Another thing, and these are, again, just a few things that I had written down, and my notes are really scattered, but a couple of the things to get the coaching calls going, and obviously you can see here, it goes through the benefits, who to coach, and again, these were the topics that were covered with us. But one of the things, going back to like telling them what to do, this was like an aha moment for me. When a stylist comes to you and says, hey, I'm just not getting bookings, which I know we know the common things, right? Like, I can't get bookings. That's a really common one. Is I automatically I will say, what have you tried? I am getting better about that instead of just telling them, but what have you tried? But then I will proceed to say, do these things in the next 2 days, and then let me know how it goes. But I give them exactly what to do. I am not including her in helping to come up with a solution. And so if she does the 10 things or whatever I told her to do, and they don't work, the blame is often shifted in their mind to you. Not that they actively are like, oh, that Amanda, she told me what to do and it didn't work. I don't know if they physically consciously say that, but in their subconscious, the blame then shifts to them, and this is their business. And that was a big moment for me, because I thought, I'm so guilty of that. And I don't want it to be on me. This is their business. I, of course, want to be there to coach and mentor them, but I don't want them to have me be responsible for the things that they do in their business. And that's where I feel like the training call is kind of how I approach these instead of a coaching call. And a couple of the things that also you want to do to prepare. So I'm just going to go back and kind of go through each of these. Is, this kind of goes over who to coach, why we're coaching, right? Again, it's for people intentionally to grow with their business. Now, not everybody on your team is going to be interested in a coaching call. So the who to coach, I thought, was also really important. New stylists, of course, I think we know that. Emerging leaders, people who want more for their business. So you only know if people want more if you ask. I also feel I'm a little guilty about assuming I know what people want in the business, and I don't. I just assume because I maybe follow what they're doing or have chatted with them a few times, and I am substituting in why they opened up their doors for their Color Street business. And everybody joins this business for a reason. If we can help them figure out what that is, maybe they already know, maybe we don't know, then we can help them work towards that goal. So the things that you want to decide ahead of time, and then obviously leaders too. We can talk about leader ones because those typically aren't as often. It depends on what type of leader it is. If it's a brand new team leader, you may want to do a weekly or biweekly call. But the hope is that that team leader is then doing calls with her girls. And the more we create this culture of coaching from the beginning as people move up in the organization as far as rank, and then they feel more comfortable doing them. So it's not so overwhelming as a director, let's say, to think of, oh my gosh, how am I going to do all these calls? Because that's where my mind is often going, and I have a block then I just don't do them because I'm nervous about the time. And one of the things that can combat that is making sure you really are setting a timer and the norms for the call. So you can do a minute of chit chat, and it's hard when it's friends. And oftentimes we have friends join us with our business, but have that length of the call predetermined and make sure she's aware and you're aware. So that way you're not just chit chatting for 15 minutes and then finally getting to some of the meat and potatoes about the coaching call. So that was one of the things just in the beginning. Obviously, who to coach. Talks about here what to coach. And these were some of the takeaways I wrote down. So I wrote down so we had notes like what happens when you're starting the call. And I wrote down, don't tell them what to do, which I've already shared, but they come up with the training. So one of the things, and I just wanted to show you this because this is supposed to be a document that you're both using for the coaching call. So and this is also one of the ones in your back office, right? This I love. And like I said, take a look through the details. I'm not going to read it all, obviously, to you guys. You guys are capable. I'm just giving you my kind of take on what the coaching call is all about. But this document right here, I kind of was a little confused when I looked back at it. I was looking at it last night, kind of thinking about this call, and reached out to some of the other leaders that were there. And I said, I'm just not really sure how this is going to work, because I took notes, and they said, you want to send this coaching checklist to them and you want them to fill it out a day ahead of time. The confusion lies in, this is like a running document. So if this is my form to talk with, let's say Susie, I always use Susie as an example. So Susie's a brand new stylist. I set up our first coaching call and I send her this document. I'm not quite sure she's going to know exactly what to do with it. So this was my initial thought and what I'm going to be planning with the ladies that I do coaching calls with. So I wrote down, I would have them fill out the top, and to me, they won't even need to fill this document out per se and send it back. But this is the information I would want them to send to me before the call. They don't really need their name because I'm already in contact with them. But confirm the time and date, just confirm it with them as you're messaging or texting or whatever with them. And then ask them, especially in the beginning, to consider what their why is and get it down on paper so you can check it out. And what are their goals? Okay, so what are their income goals in particular? And again, if this is a new stylist, I'm not quite sure she'll be on board with like understanding incentive goals or other, for example, Jumpstart. Maybe she doesn't have that information. So a brand new call with a brand new stylist, I'm going to focus on what is her why? Why did you launch this business? And what is one goal you have with your business? I want to keep it simple. If she's been in even a little bit, or for the follow-up call, my thought is, and again, because this is something I'm taking notes for. In fact, I used this document for a call I did the other day. Okay, so I'll cover up her name, but this is a brand new stylist, okay? And I wrote down her initial why. She told me that she initially wanted to pay back the kit. Now she started on February 2nd. But now she's looking to pay off some debt and save a little bit of money. So I talked about a little bit about what income looks like with a nail bar. So I personally like to break income down by nail bars. And I like to say, well, if you have one nail bar, you're making about $80. Now that shifts depending on your sales, but that's just the number I give to my stylist to use so they can start considering what are their income goals and how are they going to reach those goals. So she said to reach her goals, she thinks she could book a nail bar a week. Okay, so she wants to make, what is that, 4 times, a little over $300. That's her income goal right now. So I wrote all that information down. I also wrote down her Jumpstart dates. And as far as the calls go, one of the other thing that I would like them to send to me, so what is their why and goal for a brand new stylist? But anybody that's in even a little while longer, what I would also ask from them is what has been one area of strength so far and what seems to be an area of opportunity or growth. So while I don't think this document's exactly perfect, I do think it's really good at being able to take notes. It does have that section down there. Now, she shared with me on the call that she's not really great with social media, and in fact, she hasn't been an avid social media user. So that's an area that she wants to focus on. In fact, just getting her mind shifted to be on social media, I know you guys know, you've been in a little bit, it is a lot of time on social media. That's where you're connecting a lot with your guests or customers or hostesses, whatever. And she shared that with me, and because I had asked her on the call, what's an area. Now I will ask those again, but I would love to have them ahead of time. We want them to be doing the work ahead of time, and that shows us that they are really raring to go for these coaching calls. Our time is valuable, as is theirs, but we're doing more as far as more time with the calls. So having them send you stuff ahead of time is really just them beginning to take the responsibility and showing that they're getting into this process. The other thing too is it's going to save you guys a little bit of time on the call. I know that can be time consuming when you're asking them about some good, what are some areas you can use? What are some areas you're excelling in? What are some areas you're finding to be a little bit weaker? But by the end of the call, by the way, we talked about her booking a nail bar a week. Now, if you notice on this guide here, it does give some examples to coach about. And obviously some of these are going to be topics that you could train her on. My one suggestion would be and this, I kind of already mentioned this, but really working with her to come up with her own suggestions about what that might look like and what are some action steps she might do. Because we train, and we do, Beautifully Polished trains. I do some trainings on this page. We have Tuesday trainings. We have trainings in the virtual office, right? We're assuming that they're doing some of that training. So chances are they've maybe heard of some ideas, or they maybe might say, like, again, let me go back to booking. Let's say she's really struggling with booking. And you say, okay, well, what are some things that you've been doing? Give me a few of your action steps that you've been doing. I did this, whatever it is. I posted on my VIP page, right? They might say that. And you might say, okay, have you done, just judging by trainings and some things that you've heard, and obviously I've coached, or you've heard Amanda, or whatever you reference. Do you have any ideas for things that you could add or things that you could do this week to maybe help you get some bookings? Now, at that point, she might be thinking, why am I on this call? She needs to tell me. You can coach her to get to the solution, to get her to come out with some ideas. You can offer suggestions. Could I offer you a suggestion of something that another stylist has used that works, or something that I have used that worked? And she might say yes. Now, I do ask that, would you like a suggestion? And there's nothing wrong with giving them suggestions, but a lot of this call is you listening to them. And for me, this call used to be much more of me telling them and coaching them. I shouldn't say coaching them, more training them on things. You know what I'm saying? It's just more of a mindset shift. So really helping them to get to there. Also, and this is where was another good suggestion. So you're on a coaching call with a new stylist, and you've been maybe chit-chatting a little too long, or you're really not getting to any action steps. Because if you look at the document, right, one of the things on here, so this is an activity review for a call. What is the action plan for this week? So you really want to get them focused in on an area in which they want to improve upon, and that they're going to take some action steps on. So that way, something really specific to follow up with them the next time you talk with them. And if you're not getting to that step, one of the suggestions, I wrote down, we have 8 minutes left. I want to make sure that we, stay on track and get to some action steps that can help you to improve your business, or help your business to grow, or, whatever words you're wanting to use, help you to hit your goals, right? So we've heard some of your goals. What are some things that you think you might want to do to move forward and start to hit those goals? What are some of the things? Now, there's ideas here. It also talks about, again, this is in the coaching guide in the back office, kind of what the conversation would look like. It gives you some of the ideas that I just said. What I'm going to plan on doing, and I haven't done this yet, is cross-check this coaching conversation with some of the notes that we heard from the presenters. And then we can always add in a few more things. So we could give you a couple more ideas for these coaching calls. But I know for me, the time, it was the biggest kind of hinder to me, and as far as something I was really nervous about, because I thought, how am I going to schedule time for these, right? But we're already, a lot of us, talking to new stylists. I know I'm messaging a lot with new stylists, and I'm focusing on new stylists. I also want to talk about the emerging stylist, the stylist who wants more with her business. My plan is to, work with my immediate leaders. So my immediate leaders, I have 3. right? I have ladies that don't have, I'm their leader, right? So those fall under my, but if we can get on board, and this is where, each of you guys will want to talk with your upline leader. So you guys can start to scale out here who might want to talk to who might want to reach out to whom. Because we want to make sure, and I've already started reaching out to a few people, maybe some newer stylists I didn't connect with immediately. I've already started to reach out to them and just say, hey, I have some time blocked in my schedule every week for coaching calls for ladies that, really have some goals. I didn't say it like that. I'll have to think about how I said it. But basically, really want to hit some of their Color Street goals or something like that. And would you be open to being on a coaching call? Is there something that I could work with you on with your Color Street business? Some people aren't answering, right? You'll get some people not answering with new stylists, maybe not direct to you, but maybe, you have a level 1 and she just enrolled someone and you're reaching out and she's really not responding. Guys, that's going to happen. We just got to move on, right? The coaching calls are meant for people that want these coaching calls. Now, new stylists might not know it. So I'm going to work really hard to get them on a call because I want them to feel connected to us and I want them to feel supported. And that, I think, is our number one goal, regardless of what we talk about. But the emerging leader, the person who wants to do more with their business, they're someone also we want to get into this habit with us so that way they can do the same thing with their team. So it might be a senior stylist. If you're working with a senior stylist, and she has some goals with her business, maybe she's not enrolling, but she's doing all the things. Obviously, you might want to focus on enrolling with her, but she may start to get confident to do these calls with her people. And ultimately, if we had this really strong culture from the beginning, I think it would really help to strengthen our and your organization. And that's the goal. And so the takeaway for me, normally when I go to conferences, even sometimes when I just go to retreats that aren't Color Street, I am so overwhelmed. I have no idea what to implement. So I felt like leaving San Antonio, this was as concrete as it could get. I mean, it's not like it's black and white. It doesn't tell me what to do, but I really felt like this is something that we could do that could really make a difference. So I hope you guys are on board because I think this is going to be a game changer for our teams, for new people to hit their goals. And ultimately, that's what we want. We want we want to help inspire them, all these things. But these coaching calls, we want to really hone in on what are they doing well? What are some areas of growth? And ultimately, how can they move forward with some action steps? And I think also, setting up that next call is important. And then what's great about that is, okay, well, just to do a quick recap, this is an area I've heard that so almost like you're kind of repeating what she says, I've heard is an area that you want to focus on and grow. I know this is your goal for this week is to do X and Y or X, Y, and Z or X, whatever it is. And I'm looking forward to checking back with you and seeing how it's going. Can we schedule that next call? Can you do this same time next week? Or, these are the slots I have open. Which one works better for you? And before you hang up, and this is where I'm guilty, so then I spend the next couple days messaging to get that next date scheduled. But that would be super helpful. What that means is we have to have our calendars blocked, though. Also another spot I need to grow. So I need to just set aside these times, and if those times aren't filled then by coaching calls, then I'm working on my own personal business, which is fine, or I'm working with hostesses, whatever. So I hope that this is some material that you guys can really review. Now, we had a couple presenters. So again, we may have a little bit more specific takeaways, but as I looked through this, just, this morning, as I was going through this particular document, I had already looked over the coaching checklist, but I think this could really help us to implement immediately. And you guys, it's not going to be perfect, but I think even if we start with a couple girls, it could make a huge difference. So I know there's only, there's a few of you guys on here. A lot of you guys are going to be watching this on replay. Do you guys have any specific questions for me? Go ahead and unmute yourself. Anything you want me to clarify, or anything that I've gone over, feel free to unmute yourself and ask. There we go. Anybody on here that has a question? No? Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to stop the recording. I'm going to send it out in the messenger. I appreciate you guys that could hop on live. I'm excited to start implementing. Like I said, our first steps are likely with our own leaders to figure out, I know mine, if they don't have a leader, that's easy. I know those people I'm reaching out to. But for you with, your leader, you may have a few that don't have a leader, and, you may have a few emerging leaders and a few level ones that don't have a leader. So work with your upline and say, who maybe should I target first? Who should we really be trying to reach out to and start implementing these coaching calls? And then, she may be able to help you out, or another, I don't want anyone to feel overwhelmed, but I would love us to start this now. And my goal is to simply reach out and start asking people who wants to schedule these. So new stylists are easy because those are the people you're trying to connect with, and whatever. The other people to identify are where it's going to take a little bit of work. Not a ton. You're reaching out, you're asking, you're offering, and then we can go from there and just kind of and see. So I'm super excited about it. I think this could really make a difference in our businesses, and that's all we're looking for. So I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I will see you guys later.